now more than ever, students are more impatient than they've ever been. And I think it's just a youth thing. I think patience isn't taught. Like the fact that you have the internet in your pocket, you're naturally going to be impatient just because it's like, what do I need to be patient for? I can get anything instantaneously. I can order food right now if I want it. I can order products from Amazon right now if I want it. You know what I'm saying? I can call for a ride right now if I want it, instead of like waiting for you don't got to wait for the bus no more. You don't got to go to the store no more. You don't got to wait for things to come out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get paid every day now. A lot of people like figured out how to get paid every day instantaneously and all these other things. And so just and like the access to content, like you can binge a show right off the bat. Like I could just watch a whole season of something. I don't got to wait till Friday at 6 p.m., you know what I'm saying, to catch up on my new show. You know what I'm saying? You got content at infinity. You can look anything up. You don't got to go read no books. You don't got to go to the library. So like the push behind patience just is not there. Like the whole world is built around the impatience of the average person and how do I get things faster? Amazon one day delivery. You know what I'm saying? Like I could call for somebody to bring me something to eat right now and it'll be here in 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just our culture doesn't promote patience just based on the way the world moves. And so when it comes to basketball, you know, as a player or just anything in general, honestly, like if you're trying to develop a skill or you're trying to get somewhere in your career or you're trying to become a certain, like reach a certain level or a certain status, like that shit takes time, bro. And a lot of players, like if they don't get it right now today, they're like, I want to move, I want to transfer, I want this, I want that. And it's like, bro, you're not even ready. Like you want to offer right now, but if they threw you in a college basketball game today, are you ready? The answer is no. And so it's like, what the fuck are you so impatient for? Get better at basketball, straight up. You know, and I think that's the downfall of a lot of people. And so if you yourself can figure out a way of like, okay, how can I be patient and just let the process do its thing? You know what I mean? Like the old Joel Embiid thing. Like a lot of y'all don't know, when Joel Embiid first got to Philly, like he was injured for 2 years. This dude was just fresh out of Kansas, just on the bench chilling. You know what I'm saying? And he had this thing like trust the process. Like that was we used to call him the process. Like that was literally his nickname, was the process. And so like that's the epitome of patience, because look at what he's become, you know, and where he came from. And, you know, of course he was a high draft pick, but he was just chilling on the bench in Philly, wasting years. Like he wasn't wasting years, but it was just like they were in the lottery. They were like last in the league, laughing stock. You know what I mean? And now that he has Philly at this place to where every time he plays their championship contending team, like that alone just shows you the power of being patient and just doing the work itself. You know, and it sounds like, the thing I don't like is like when I say these things, like a lot of players like, oh shit, no shit, bro, be patient. Like obviously you sound like every other fucking coach. But it's like I always keep it real, you know that's how I am. And so I'm gonna tell you, like, bro, like it's actually the thing that's stopping most people, is they were so impatient for the thing to happen. They think I'm running out of time. They think, well, if I don't do it now, when will it happen? When can I do it? And it's just like, you got a lot of you have more time than you think, but then you also don't have as much time as you think. You know, because like time really be flying. I was just at my old high school today. We had tryouts for the Nebraska Phenom, the girls team, and I told them, I'm like, I was in this school 15 years ago, and most of you in this room were not born, or you were just born. You know what I mean? And so it's like, to think of how fast that went. You know what I'm saying? That I was just 15 and I was in that same gym that we had tryouts today, and I was in that same weight room that we had a conversation in today. 15 years ago is just crazy. But at the same time, it's like you can really get a lot done in that time. And in the day to day, it's kind of slow. It's like you got all day. You know what I mean? Like we had tryouts. I was done with tryouts at like 1. So I came home. I took a little nap. You know, went and got something to eat. Like I was on the phone talking to the other coach. I came home, like watched a couple of videos, whatever here, edited a couple of videos. And so I did there's a lot, and it's only 9 o'clock right now, and I'm going to be up till midnight. And, you know, I can do more shit. I got more shit to do. And so, you know, I say all that to say is just like, understand that time's going to go whether you want it to or not. And you can only do what you can do today. And so it's like there's no point in being impatient because you can't speed up that clock. You know what I mean? You can't gain all those skills tomorrow. And the thing you gotta come to terms with is just like enjoying the moment for what it is and knowing where you want to go. And just understanding that if you do the right things every single day, like literally just wake up and be like, okay, today I gotta go to the gym, I gotta run, what I'm saying, I gotta lift weights, I gotta work on my handle, I gotta shoot. And if you do all those things, then it's like, okay, you did what you could for the day, and then you live with it, and then you move on to the next day. And so like every day you got to act as if that tryout is tomorrow, but in the long term thinking of like wanting things to happen, you have to understand that it's just going to take time, and it'll get here when it gets here. Like the clock's going to tick regardless. Time's going to move the same regardless. And so just really enjoy the moment for what it is. Cause like when I was 15, bro, like I was telling them kids like 15 years ago, like I didn't know shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just in there like lifting. We're having fun. I almost broke my fucking thumb. We're messing around, like all types of shit that I just remember from being in high school. And it's like you don't even know that those are some of the best days that you're gonna live. Like I don't like, bro. The most fun times I had was like with my friends when I was young and we're outside doing shit. And I get to stay night at one friend's house and we're up to like 3 a.m. playing games. And it's like I don't do that shit no more. Like people got jobs, people got families. Like I'm out here working, out here coaching, like doing all this shit. And, I felt like I enjoyed it as much as I could, but if I knew what I knew now, I would try to enjoy it even more. Like I would just like love the moment even more. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing I want to stress to all you young people who think that, you want everything now and you want to be grown up now and you want to have money now. Like, bro, if you're under 18 right now and you don't have a bill to pay, like, bro, just enjoy it. Just go to the gym with your boys, like get some shots up, do the work that you want to do to get you where you want to go. But at the same time, just like enjoy it while it lasts, man. That shit don't last. That shit is like you're an adult longer than you are a kid. So be a kid while you can, put that work in, and just understand if you do the work now, you'll get the results in your 20s. But if you wait and you fucking stall it out and you're bullshitting, you're going to have to spend your whole 20s doing that work. And if you bullshit your 20s, you're going to spend your whole 30s doing that work. And some people bullshit their fucking whole life away. I've seen it. So just understand that. I understand. I'm going to answer your question, or I'm going to see what you said. I understand being patient is just hard with the mindset because I got 2 years left. Feel like time has run out. 2 years left of what? Like, think about it, right? Like the example I always give, like this is an extreme example, obviously, but think about J. Cole, bro. This man literally played professional basketball like 35 years old for the first fucking time. And so theoretically, are you running out of time? Sure. But in the grand scheme, bro, like you still could have a shot in 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're 16 now, 26 is young as fuck, bro. I'm 31. I would do anything to be 26. It'd just be like, let me get them 5 years back, bro. Like, bro, I'm telling you. Like, it just feels like you're running out because you're young and you're on the internet and you see these kids with these offers and all these other things. Like, I didn't see so many of the top players fall off. A lot of people don't understand that. You'll understand that when you're my age and you look back, damn, what happened to that one dude who was ranked number 1 when I was in high school? What happened to, like me, I always be thinking like the couple players I brought up was like LeBron Nash. I said that shit a while ago. Like, what the fuck happened to LeBron Nash? You know what I mean? Like, look him up. He was one of the top players in the country. Like, dude was viral all over YouTube. He never touched the NBA. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's just, you don't know, bro. And so I understand why it's hard, but just understand, bro. Just enjoy the moment and do what you got to do. You can't control. You can only do one rep at a time, literally. And so once you understand, like, you can only do the thing you can do now. And so you got this one rep. I'm about to do this one rep perfect with max intensity and max passion and all these other things. And then you just do the next rep with the same thing. And you just over and over and over. And you just live your life that way. And I think if you do that, you can always look back and just be like, damn, I really gave it my best. And that's the thing that I'm happiest with. And that's the thing that you guys don't get to hear is like the people that actually tried but like, there's not even enough words in the dictionary to describe how much effort I actually put into basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't explain it. Like, one example I'll give is when I was in my 20s, I used to catch the bus at 5 a.m. to go to the YMCA downtown. And I would catch the bus home at like 11. So I'm working out from like 6 to 10:30 every morning, and I got to catch the bus. And on the weekends, the bus don't run at a certain time, and so I had to walk. Like, in my sister can attest to this. Like, she would hear me in the next room getting up, getting ready at 5:30 in the morning, putting my shit on, putting my fucking jacket on, putting my headphones in, and going out that fucking door and walking to the YMCA to go get a workout in because the bus didn't run that day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't describe the amount of effort. And the reason I say that is because, like, I'm happy that I did that, because I can never look back and be like, damn, I should have worked harder. There's a ton of people that look back and be like, oh, I should have did more. I should have did this. I should have grinded for real. Bro, like, I really grinded for real. And the thing that they don't tell y'all is, like, everybody always thinks, okay, what if it don't work out? What if it don't? Like, it didn't work out for me because I just didn't have the help from other people, plain and simple. But the thing that I like about what I did is, you know, for one, I get to help so many people. Like, the people in this room that are going to watch this and the people that are going to watch the replay and see the clips, is like, I get to help y'all. And a lot of the things that I say come from actual experience of, like, the reason I'm so good at developing, and I know how to practice, and I know, like, all these emotions. I know what it feels like to come off the bench and do all these other things and start and play all the games and score and whatever, because I actually did it. Like, I lived it at the most intense level that I could within myself, and put all the energy that I had, you know, when I could, into becoming the best player that I could possibly be. Like, I really did that shit. And so I'm happy that I don't have any regrets when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't half-ass a rep. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be embarrassing for me to be in front of my coaches and go 50% speed or not try as hard as I could. Like, that's an embarrassment. You know what I'm saying? So every time I brought it 100. Like, there was a couple times I can remember where I just was not there, and I was just like, not today, bro. I like, fuck this. You know what I'm saying? And I can vividly remember just like one or two moments maybe, but every other time outside of that, bro, like, I was on 100. And if you do that, I just think you can live with the results. Like, I don't think you're gonna be miserable when you get older and have all these, like, man, I wish I would have. Like, I don't have no wish I would have. I don't. Like, obviously in hindsight, there's always like, oh, this would have been a better decision, or do that. But it's just like, the things that I could control, I feel like I did the best I could at the time with the information that I had, and you know, just the things that I knew. You know, when you know better, you do better. And I knew what I knew, and I did what I could. And so, like, you can't really go wrong when you do that. And so I don't think there's any worry when it comes to how things play out, and what's going to happen in the future, and is time going to run out and all that other shit. You know, it's hard to worry about all that shit when you're doing the things necessary to get where you want to go. And so if you're worried about all that shit, and you're anxious about the future, and you're praying like, is this shit going to work, or what's going to happen, then you're probably not working hard enough. I'm just going to be honest with you. So that's something you got to evaluate. You know what I mean? Appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. AAU is 1,000 times more important than school ball. Like, the biggest trick right now, school ball is the off season. That's the biggest trick in the book right now that no one's came to the realization of. I've told some of my students, it's like, you got to come to that realization and be like, oh, summer's not the off season. School basketball is the off season, because they recruit in AAU. There's nobody coming to your small ass school. Like, some of y'all probably go to big schools, like, but I'm just in the grand scheme, like, nobody's coming to your school in the middle of fucking Washington at a 3A, bro. They're just not going there. They're just not. Your head coach ain't about to call nobody important to come watch you play at that school. It's just not happening. And so, like, the biggest thing that a lot of kids need to understand is winter or school ball, whenever you play that is your off season. AAU is the real shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I stress, like, your school shit don't matter. So you should go to the school where I think most players, like, this comes down to the right situation thing that I was about to talk about. So this is a perfect segue. And I'm gonna answer your questions in a minute for the other person. Actually, I already answered that. My bad. This is the biggest thing that people should do when it comes to what situation they should be in. Is realistically, you should be in the situation that's gonna develop you the most. Like, I think development is so underrated. Everybody wants to be on the top team. Everybody wants to play on this prestigious ass whatever, instead of actually looking at it and be like, okay, if I go here, I'm going to be a better basketball player. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the biggest waste of time is playing for the bad coach. I can't say this enough, man. And I see it all the time. I see it with some of my students. Like I had to watch a lot of them play for bad coaches, and it was frustrating for me to just watch them and be like, bro, I can't do nothing. I can't come to your practice and control what y'all working on. I can't be on the sidelines and making sure y'all got game plans and understanding, game situations. I can only do what I can do from here, and it's frustrating to watch. But in reality, it's just like you got to go where you're gonna actually be developed into the best player. It's just that simple. And so if that means playing on a lower team because the coach is actually just better, do that. Don't have no pride and be like, I don't want to be on JV. I don't want to be on second team. I don't want to be on whatever the fuck. You need to be there at that moment so you can develop. The development is more important. And so like when you watch Gilbert Arenas 4 years ago put his son against 17U and they're getting the shit kicked out of them by 60, and then you see him today, you're like, oh, that was probably a good decision. Yeah, he wasn't on a top team in his grade level and they were getting smacked every single weekend, but now he's like a surefire Division I superstar. And so it's just like what we got to start thinking more long term when it comes to situation. And like you got to understand what you need. And it's hard for me to say that. It's like I don't know all of you individually. You got to understand, okay, I need to work on these things, or I need IQ, or I need better competition, or I need to be a star player on a team so I can understand that, or I need to learn how to just play on a really good team. Like you don't like all these things matter when it comes to deciding where you want to play at. And so you got to understand what you need and what you're trying to get out of this game, and have people around you giving you good advice, and just go to the situation that maximizes your development. And then once you're fully developed, then go for the exposure, because you can get exposure like this today. If you're good, if you're good right now, if you're great right now, all you got to do is play one tournament and you're going to get seen, and the camera's going to be there. You got to have your boy in the crowd filming and post that shit and have a moment. It takes 1 month to get discovered if you're actually great. And so spend all your time getting great, becoming flawless, becoming super competitive and sure of your game and all these other things. Spend all your time doing that, no flaws. And then when you go for that exposure, you'll get every single thing that you want. But a lot of people go for the exposure way too soon. And I think that's the biggest mistake, because once you get that exposure too soon, then you make that first impression, and your first impression matters, and you're either going to live up to it, or you're going to fall off, or some shit's going to happen that you don't want to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like all exposure does is just expose. It's exposure. It exposes who you are. So if you're fully developed, it'll expose that. If you actually are weak at shooting and you're weak at defense and you get all this exposure, you're fucked. You know what I'm saying? So like just do the work in the fucking dark. And then when it's time to get exposed, which is like your last year of AAU, go to the right team, get to the right tournament, and film that shit and post it, and just, I promise you some shit's going to happen. I think that's the best thing for you. So that's all I got when it comes to, my topics for today. I think those are really good topics. I was on fire. Because I'm so passionate about this shit, bro. I'm super passionate about this shit. I just hate seeing people go the wrong direction for no reason. It just don't make no sense to me. So trying your hardest is a reward in itself. It is. It's like, what else are you going to do? You're already at the gym. You already work out. You already play basketball. You might as well just go 100. Like, you're already doing it. You're already doing the thing. And like, what else you going to do? Sit on your ass? You know what I'm saying? So, it's just, I don't see any other way to live. And I get it sometimes, like, you just don't got the energy for it, or you feel out of it, or you're confused. I get all that shit. You know what I mean? But I think just the continuous act of going, even if you got to do the minimum of like 15 minutes a day to just like, all right, I'm not off yet, but I got to turn this shit way down because I'm not feeling right. Like, you can't really fight it if you're not feeling good. That's something that I've learned. Like, if I'm not feeling it, bro, I don't fight it. So people always ask me like why I'm not hooping or whatever. Like, when I hurt my foot a couple years ago, I was just like, yeah, I'm exhausted, bro. That's why I posted that Forrest Gump clip of him just like when he stops his run and he just turns around and he's like, all right, I think I'm gonna go home now. And that's literally how I felt after I hurt my foot. I was just tired of running, bro. But and I'm not gonna fight it. Like, there's no reason. How do you increase your basketball IQ? It's a mixture of watching film and the thing, like, I say this all the time. I probably said this on like 4 of the lives that I've done. Watch full basketball games and listen to the commentators. They tell you how to play basketball. Like I'm not even joking. They tell you how to play straight up. They'll be like, "Oh, you should do this in this situation," or "That was a good attack because he read his defenders." Whatever. Like they say a bunch of shit, and you just start to pick up on it and listen. Like I used to watch full basketball games all the time, and like naturally, I'm just listening to what they're saying, and like I don't even know that I'm hearing it, and I'm like taking it in, and I'm like, okay, I get it. But that's just what I was doing at a young age, and I think that and having good coaches around you, those two things alone, like you can't really go wrong. And yeah, playing, you gotta play and learn from your teammates, and learn from your competition. Like playing might be. I hate to say playing is more important than practicing because they're both. I think both of them are equal, but I think a lot of people put too much emphasis on practicing. Not in a bad way, like in a skill work practicing wise. Not team practice. Team practice is fucking important, but like skills and drills, people put way too much emphasis on that, and less emphasis on like I'm about to go to the park today and run the fives. Like they're both equally important, straight up. Magic making it out of the first round this year? No fucking shot. No shot, bro. I ain't even looked at the standings, but no shot. I should look it up. What year of high school should you focus on exposure? I say I don't think there's a certain year. I think it comes when you are fully developed. So I think you got to think of it as like you got to hurry up and develop, bro. Like that doesn't mean skip steps and rush the process, but it's just like develop. Because if you're fully developed in ninth grade, start getting exposure. But if like, you got a lot of weaknesses in ninth grade, do you want people to come to the game and watch you fuck up? Yeah, I don't understand that. It's like people have all these flaws and they're like, but I want to get exposure. You want them to come to the game and see you fucking up help side defense and see you getting beat off the dribble every play? That's what you want them to come to the game to see? That doesn't make no sense. So when you're fully developed, that's when you need to focus on exposure. And you need to, if you're not developed by the time you're 17, then it's just like you might have missed the boat. You'll just have to get the exposure where you can. But I don't like, to me, it don't really matter. I think when you feel when you feel confident enough that you can play college basketball and make an impact, you know what I mean? I think, but that's a hard thing to know. So yeah, I just think when you're developed, or when you're developed enough to where it's like you can rely on 2 skills and you don't have any glaring weaknesses. That's what it is. If you have like 1 or 2 skills you can rely on, like if you're a shooter and you could just knock down shots, and then the rest of your game is like solid, like you can play a little bit of defense, you know what I'm saying? You understand the game, you could make smart passes, things and that. Start getting exposure then, and then keep developing yourself. That's what I would say. But if you have like glaring weaknesses, like you legitimately can't play defense, and that's a glaring weakness, don't get exposure. Work on that shit. You're trying to find a tournament, but you're new to your town and there's nothing really happening here. I think check Facebook groups and like, ask people, go to the gym. Like if you're new to somewhere, go to all the nearest gyms and YMCAs and LA Fitnesses or whatever is around, and just like figure out when people are playing and just talk to people and be like, hey, do you know anybody that has a team around here? Like you could just ask somebody like walking past them. If you see them shooting hoops, just like you kind of got to build up the courage and be like, hey, do you know anybody that has a team? And like 9 times out of 10, if somebody's in the gym shooting around, they know somebody that knows somebody. And then you just kind of keep connecting the dots that way. How do you train to be a better ball handler under pressure? The best way to practice that, is really just do it. Like you got to understand the basics of it, obviously. And so you have to learn like, okay, tactically, how do I handle ball pressure? But the other side of that is like you actually have to go in the field and in the arena and do the thing. Like you got to face the pressure over and over and over and over and over and over and over until you get used to it, until you learn, until you say, okay, I can't do this move that I just got ripped on 3 times in a row. I got to fucking switch it up, or I got to dribble lower because, they're pushing me, or I got to be stronger with the ball. Like you got to go through that shit. You know what I'm saying? That's everybody goes through that shit. I went through that. I went through a period of time where like I was weak under pressure and I had to fucking man up and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I had to get stronger and I had to get yelled at by my coach and taught and all these other things and learn different tactics and learn moves and just work on my shit. I think that's really just what it is. There's no tricks to the trade, bro. Still hating on Scoot. That's funny. And sometimes when I make those videos, like I be halfway trolling, but at the same time, like I'm for real, but at the same time, like I know I be exaggerating. So I think it's just I be having fun with it, and I don't even expect videos like that to just go crazy. Like the Luca video, I had no fucking idea. Like people still arguing under that shit today. That video was like 2 weeks ago. I don't even care anymore. Like yes, he's bad at defense, and sometimes you know what I hope happens. Like secretly, I hope that they actually see those videos and they're like, because I know NBA players see my videos now. Like I know it, and sometimes I hope that they see it and they actually make the change to get better. Like I hope Luka actually is like, okay, I gotta play some fucking defense for real. You know what I mean? And then they get better, and then fucking him and Kyrie win a ring. Like I hope that happens. So I'm not like out to bash anybody realistically. Like I don't, and if they have something to say about it, it's like I'll tell you, like, yo, like I'll show you the same film I just brought up, and we can have a conversation if it's the actual player. But it doesn't come from a place of like, I hate this player, he's fucking trash, I'm about to hate on him. It's just like I be joking around and I be semi serious, and then I just, you know, I hope they see it and get better at basketball. Like I made the Kyle Anderson video hoping that he actually fixes his jump shot. I made the Thompson twin video of the one, I think it's the one from the Pistons. I like his jump shot was airballing, like low percentages. I hope he saw that and then like somehow found my shooting video and hope he's doing it and getting better. You know what I mean? So and the things I say is actually like, if you listen to it without getting offended, it's actually good advice. Like me telling Luka to like, bro, like you got to stay in front. Like you can't just be getting blown past. You can't be over here complaining because you didn't get the foul. Like that actually makes you a better player if you listen to what I'm saying. It's like, oh yeah, okay, you might be right. You know what I mean? So even though it seems like, hey, in a way I'm helping these players, and that's how I'm always gonna see it. You know, no matter how I say it, it's just like straight up. What do I think about the Warriors? I think they're a team I wouldn't want to play. I don't think they're going to win the championship. There's no way. I just don't see it. Unless like Wiggins completely turns it around and Clay completely turns it around. I just don't see that happening. But I like the players. Like they finally made good decisions with bringing Pajinski. I still can't say that kid's name. Putting him in the starting lineup, I think that was just a better decision. Like I could see that a month in. It's like, okay, this kid has to start. Giving Kuminga more minutes over Wiggins, like that was just the obvious move. You know, so I like what they're trying to do. I think this is the last year that they got. Next year they might really give it like one last go with this 3. Let's make a strong fucking push and make a trade for a couple pieces that matter. They're gonna get rid of Chris Paul. He's not gonna be there next year. I can almost promise you that. And, you know, they're going to take one last shot at it and see what it does, you know. But I'm always going to be a Steph Curry fan. So I hope they do well. I just hope they lose to the Suns if they play them. So that's it. Your videos and live really help me. I've gotten better since I first started. I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate that. Like, that's the only reason I do this. Like, there's 31 people in here. Like, it's not crazy, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, half of you might actually hear what I'm saying and apply it, and you're going to be surprised that it actually works. And then you're going to send me one of these messages and be like, hey, man, your videos and your live actually helped me. I'm way better. And so that's all I want to do. Like, you know, like the players I told today at the Phenom stuff, like I told them, like, yes, we're a Nike team. We're the first Nike team in Nebraska. And it's like, at the end of the day, I really don't give a fuck about the brand. I don't give a fuck if it's Puma. I don't give a fuck if it's Fubu, whoever. Like, at the end of the day, I'm here for you guys to get better at basketball, regardless of how it looks, regardless of the prestige that we play or the tournaments that we play at. Even though it's great that, you know, I get to be a part of the first Nike team in Nebraska. Like, it's actually kind of crazy because we didn't have that shit when I was a kid, you know, and to be a part of that is special, especially since we had our practice at my old high school. Like that's always going to be crazy to me. That's like, you know, I get to be a part of something that's going to be super important in the future. And I'm part of the first team, and it was at the place that I grew up at, the place that I developed at, you know, so that's always super important to me. And regardless of the brand or who does it, like, you know, I'm just here for the players, bro. Like, y'all are the ones that push my brand up. It's not me doing anything. It's y'all. So, thank you. British Columbia. Shout out British Columbia. Y'all be all over the world, bro. That shit's kind of dope. I ain't gonna lie. Like somebody gave me a shout out from France. I can't remember. Somebody said another country. I can't remember. Where y'all from, by the way? Just type if you're in a different country. You could just put state or you could put country. I'm always curious to know where people are from. Like I had there's people in Ireland that are in my academy. It's crazy. It's crazy, bro. I told people we're going global this year, so I'm trying to keep my word. Tips on getting past stronger defenders. It depends. It depends. Like you gotta understand defenders. Like what type of defender. Some of them are jumpy. They'll always try to beat you to the spot, so you might have to shift them. Some of them don't go for any moves, so you got to play them straight up. I think you got to find your advantage against whatever defender that is and play off of that. And so if they're buff as fuck, like hopefully you can shoot, bro, and then you can play off your shot and pump fake them. And they jump, and then you can go around them and stuff like that. But just going straight contact for contact, like that's not a good idea. How do I practice footwork like Kobe, Jokic, and Luka? Literally do it. Like literally watch their feet. It'd be like, okay, you step this way, you turn, blah, 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 whatever. And then try to do that. Like whatever you think that feels like. So you have to look at it, right? And you have to say, okay, I think that feels a certain way. And so however I think that feels, whatever I just saw, I'm going to go and try to recreate that. And you just do that over and over, and you just take your time and you practice slowly. Like a lot of people want to practice full speed. I remember when I was young, I used to practice in my driveway all the time. My friends would drive past my house. And one of my friends, he saw me at school one day. He's like, why do you practice so slow? And I never thought like I was practicing slow. I didn't know, you know what I mean? But I'm just out there like doing footwork, like just doing all these spin moves and jump stops and pump fakes and up and unders and just doing all this shit that I seen Kobe and MJ and all these people do, right? And over time, bro, it's just like my footwork got so good that I could just use it against anybody. Like I could get myself out of any situation. I never traveled. I was never off balance. Like I always knew which way to pivot and all these other things. And I knew how to use my feet really well. But it was just from like hours of watching it and recreating it and doing the exact thing slowly but perfectly. And then over time, you just start to use it because you just know how to use your feet. I think that's what it is. Hey, where is it best to contact the coach? Email or Twitter? Both. You don't have to choose, bro. Both. How to determine if a school needs me or wants me? I'm trying to think of what you mean. I don't know. I think it just depends on the language. You got to listen closely. Like, you can tell when people need money, and you can tell when people just want it. You got to be able to read people. But there's no exact, like, there's just telltale signs, but it's hard to say if I don't actually hear the conversation in itself. What's wrong with Halliburton? I don't know. I know he got hurt. It might have been his knee or something. I can't remember what happened to him, but I can't remember. He's gonna be all right, bro. It's that dead period. Like March is the dead period of basketball. February and March. If you watch basketball long enough, you start to understand the ebbs and flows of the NBA. So, yeah, I think he'll be all right. Explain Carbon practices. So if for anybody that doesn't know, Carbon is my basketball team that I'm gonna have this year, and the practices. It depends. It depends on who's on the team. Like, because I'm probably gonna have two teams. I'm gonna have a top team, and then I'm gonna have a development team. For the top team, it's gonna be a lot of understanding execution. A lot of it's still gonna be like, the things that we need to know, which is like getting out of a press and a double team, and like playing under pressure. I think those things are like super important, and defensive rotations and things like that, and just like understanding smart basketball. I think that's just like the best way I can encompass it. Is just like understanding smart basketball that translates to any level. There's certain things you got to do. There's certain ways you got to play in order to win. And I try my best to do that without handcuffing the players, because it's like I want to execute as much as possible. Execution leads to wins. And so if I can get my team to understand that, they'll do it, but then understand that like they still have a sense of freedom. But the best quote I've heard, which was Steph Curry's old coach who coached him at Davidson, I wish I could remember his name. He said, discipline comes before freedom. And so if you're not disciplined enough to do the right things, I can't let you free because you're going to fuck up the game. And so I think the first thing I'm going to teach him is like how to play disciplined, smart, winning basketball, and how to be free within that and be yourself and show your skill set while helping us win. I think that's like the formula, when it comes to being a great team and allowing your players to be great within themselves. Like those two things can coexist. And so it's just, it's having them learn like, hey, all right, I know you can do some wild shit and you're good and you can freestyle it, but like if you fuck it up, bro, you better learn how to turn it back and get disciplined and execute these fucking offensive sets. You know what I mean? And we don't run like robotic plays to where like go here, go there, go here. It's more of like a system. But I'm gonna build the system around the players, and so that's really what it is. And that goes for both teams. It's like both teams have to learn how to play the same thing. There's no difference between the only difference between high level basketball and mediocre basketball is just the time between mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like the mistakes are always the same. It's always a missed box out. It's always a bad rebound. It's always a bad pass or deflection or whatever these things are. But it's the time between those incidents is what makes a good team great. How long that time is. It's like the same mistakes you see in an NBA game. You'll see that same mistake 25 times instead of 3 times. In a high school game, you'll see that shit 25 times. In an NBA game, you'll see that mistake 3 times. How do you become a better defender? Lane slides. I actually got a full length like one-on-one defense video in my academy, but shout out to the people in the academy, bro. I'm gonna make y'all a video after I get off this live straight up. I gotta do it. But yeah, get your shoulder in front of the ball, understand your offensive opponent, and understand their tendencies, which you got to pick up on those if you don't have a scouting report. It's just all these things. But like do lane slides, quickness things, and then just play a shit ton of one-on-one defensively and try to understand, okay, this play. Try to pick up on tendencies. Try to know when to read, when to jump, when not to jump, when to go for the ball if it's exposed, different things like that. And like keeping your distance. There's kind of a lot that goes into it. It's like asking how do I become a better offensive player? You're asking me the same shit. But defense seems more basic. It's equally as thought out as offense. What's my favorite college hoop team? Kentucky. And UConn girls. I fuck with Kentucky since John Wall went to Kentucky. After Calipari left Memphis, when he got done coaching D Rose, that's when I was like, yep, wherever John Wall going, that's where I'm going. So ever since then, man, Kentucky. I still owe y'all some Rob film. I'll be on that soon. Thoughts on hooping and working out with a weighted vest? It can work. I've never done it. I'd probably buy one and test it out, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. There's nothing wrong with that. I always say try it and see. How many points is Caitlin Clark putting up on an elite D3 team? It depends on who she's playing for, to be honest. Like if she gets a pick and roll and she comes off the screen and that big man's in a drop, she's making that. And she'll hezzy you. Like she played on boys AAU, so and murdered them all. I can't say that word, huh? Murked them all. I forgot I'm on live on TikTok. Get banned for type shit like that. But I don't know, bro. It depends on who she's playing for. What's the system? What's her role? I don't know. But if you leave her open, that shit's netting. I don't give a fuck who it's against. And you will fall for a pump fake, so that's how I put it. Did I hear Agent Zero say get rid of Euros? Yeah, I heard him say. I didn't hear his full thought out. Like some things I've learned to ignore. A lot of people gotta start to learn that. Society has to learn that as a whole. Ignore shit that don't mean nothing. And I fuck with Agent Zero. Like that's one of my favorite players growing up. Like when he was hitting all them deep threes and like when he hit the game winner on the Bulls, I was pissed because I liked the Bulls at the time. But he's one of my favorite players and he's a genius when it comes to basketball. But he just says shit just because he feels like saying shit. That's what y'all haven't. That's a lot of people have not understood that about him. Is like he just says shit for the shock value of it, and he's like he probably just thinks it's funny, and he's like, oh, that's a good idea, like and just fucking throws it out there, and people fall for the bait every fucking time. So shit like that I've learned to ignore from anybody. How are skinny high school guards able to push through so much contact when they look so skinny? Because they're explosive. explosive, and they just understand the philosophy behind beating their defender. So it's less about their strength. It's just like they're explosive. So explosion just creates more force, so then you can go through the contact that's there. What should I do? School coach putting me at big man, but I'm like a small forward, shooting guard on AAU. Tell him you don't want to play that position. Let's see what happens. Be like, hey, I play shooting guard on my AAU team. I don't want to play big man. And then see what he says. But you got to be willing to play on a lower team, or you got to be willing to quit if you actually want to do that thing. If you're not willing to take a loss or go backwards, then you can't be asking for shit. That's the thing that a lot of people get confused with. Just in the world in general, it's like a lot of people make all these demands and they're going to ask for all these things. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but I'm giving you a full picture of like a lot of people are going to say that they have a job, right? And they'll be like, I want to be promoted to this. But if they don't promote you and you're not going to quit, but then what? You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I'll quit behind anything. Like I quit. I was supposed to be the coach at Northwest for the freshman boys. And then it turns out that wasn't the deal. Like the deal just changed. And I was like, okay, if I'm not doing that, I'm quitting. A lot of people would have just took that, been like, oh, well, I want to be involved. And so fine, I'll be an assistant then, and be mad the whole fucking time. But for me, it's like, no, I want this. This is what I asked for. If I'm not getting that, I'll see you later. You know what I'm saying? It's no hate, but it's just like, I want what I want. And if I'm not going to get that, then I'm out. There's no situation to where I feel like being unhappy. Like that's my thing. There's no situation to where I feel like being unhappy. Straight up. And if it's going to cost me my happiness, I'm out. I'll be gone the next day. You know what I mean? It's just not worth it, bro. Oh, I'm just now getting to the where y'all from. Damn, I'm way back in the comments. My fault. Lincoln, Texas, Georgia, Hawaii, Bahamas. Bahamas, that's dope. Canada, Arkansas, British Columbia. I don't know how to say that word. Minnesota. Damn, man. That's dope, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in. For real. Off season started. What should someone be focused on if they're heading into their junior season? This is like something I brought up earlier. It just depends, bro. Like, I don't know what your position is. I don't know who you are. I don't know your strengths and weaknesses. Like, the thing I always say, my number one advice always is just like write down your weaknesses from the most glaring weakness you have, and then just rank them. Everything below that. So like if you are really bad at driving to the basket, that's your number one weakness. And then it's like, okay, well, I can't shoot threes. My threes are sometimes off. That's number 2. Okay, my defense in the full court, it's a little off. That's number 3. And you just rank them, and then you just go through that list. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean spend 100% of your time on the number one weakness, but it's like 70% of your time should be on that number one weakness, and then 30%, and then the 20% should be on your other weaknesses. So it's like your number one weakness, probably half the time. That 70 is kind of exaggerated. So half the time you spend working out should be on your number one weakness. And then, 30% should be on all your other weaknesses, and then 20% should be on the shit you're good at. So then you don't lose that skill. How do you know your role on the court? Your coach should tell you. And if they don't tell you, then they're not doing their job. And you just do your biggest strength. Whatever your strength is, that'll be next. But it should be, your coach should tell you your role. That's not up to you to know that. How do you get better at threes if you're a mid-range specialist? That's a lot to distill right now. I would say go watch my Shooting 101 video, and I talk about increasing range. And then go read Pro Shooting Secrets, which is also on my website, grandmasterhoops.com. I think that's in my bio, pretty sure. How should you break down film? Depends. Depends. It's like my favorite answer now. Depends. But to be honest, watch it in slow motion and just pick up on as many details as you can. That's like the number one thing I'll give you. And then just look for the things that you want to get better at. What's my favorite thing about coaching / mentoring? My favorite thing about coaching and mentoring, I would probably say just like the act of helping people and seeing that the things that I teach and the things that I tell them work. And then like for the players that I get to talk to when it comes to just like dealing with off court stuff, where there's dealing with the parents or the coach or all these other things, like I feel like that's equally as important, if not more important. It's like helping them with their mental game and all these other things. I think just making the impact, bro. Like I can't really distill it down to one thing, but it's just like I just like the fact that I can be there for players and, you know, make them feel as if they're actually important, because a lot of coaches don't know how to do that. And a lot of coaches are just like not that good at people, let alone coaches. And they just don't understand how to interact with another person, with a young person that needs help for real. Like a lot of coaches just don't understand that interaction within itself. And I do. Like I really understand a lot when it comes to these players. And I talk to them as if they're people. Like I don't just treat them like, oh, you're 15, you don't know shit. Or you're 12, you don't know shit. Like I talk to them like, but I'll tell them if they don't know what they're talking about. I'll be like, like I understand that this is how you feel or this is the way you see it, but I'm telling you, like, this is the actual thing that you need to be focused on. Or this is the mindset that you need to have, and like teach them what's important and teach them why, you know what I'm saying? And I make sure that they're not scared to like be honest. I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of coaches have not yet figured out is in order to make a real impact, you have to make your players understand that for one, they can't be scared to be honest. But for two, that they have to be honest or we're not going to get anywhere. Like I told a girl today, she was telling me like, hey, I can't pay for the team. Like I know it's going to cost a lot. I can't pay. And so I told her, I was like, okay, if that's the case, like, I'm glad you're being honest with me. Or at first, that's not what she said. That's essentially what we got to. But she was like, just asking, how much is it? How much, like all these other things. And I didn't know the price, or I would have just told her. But the thing I said to her is like, if you can't pay and you're like, hey, I got $100, this is it. Like, I need to know that so that I know how I can help you. But if you're not willing to be honest and just say what it is and be like, this is how I feel, or this is the situation that I'm in, I can't help you. And so my first thing when it comes to interacting with students is like telling them like, yo, be honest with me. I don't fucking have time for the bullshit. I don't have time to guess. I don't have time to try to figure out what you meant. Like, just be honest. Like, I'm not going to judge you for your honesty. Just tell me what it is and then we can deal with it. Like, I'm not going to be mad. And I think the thing that a lot of coaches run into is that they get mad when their players are being honest. You know, when their players like, coach, like, I really feel like this, or I'm not happy with this. They get defensive and they get offended and they're like, why are you trying to tell me how to coach? Blah, blah, blah. Why are you complaining? All this bullshit. And for me, it's just like, okay, I try to figure out if their feelings are justified or not. Is it fair? Like, is it reasonable? Like, and that's not the first thing that comes to a lot of coaches' mind when a player like tries to, I shouldn't say argue, but when they try to just like figure out what it is. Cause I have players that I go back and forth with all the time that like, we'll have full-on arguments straight up, and it's just like they're comfortable doing that because I've told them it's okay, and I don't get pissed at them for voicing their opinions. And so now we're at a place to where it's like I will get their honest feedback and they'll get my honest feedback, and we might not like it. They might not like what I have to say, or I might not like what they have to say, but at least we could be honest and open about it and figure out a solution. Like all that other shit is just a fucking waste of time that I don't have time for. And it's just it's worthless at the end of the day. And I think that's why I think a lot of players respect me and they always come back around. What's crazy, they always come back around, bro. Like there's players that were at my tryout today that I haven't seen in 3 years. And it's like they knew I was going to be there, so they came to the tryout. But it starts with us having honest conversations and being real with them from day one. And so when I see you 3 years later, you know how I am. And you know that I actually give a fuck. And I think that's the thing that I like the most is like they know that I care, and they get benefit from that. How do you find your rhythm during a game? Fuck if I know, man. Shoot that shit. That's just being, I don't know, bro. Like, just stay on. Like, don't turn it off. Stay in rhythm. Like, practicing, one-on-one, scrimmaging. Just get used to being in rhythm fast. You know what I mean? And just, when you get to the game, just be on. Like, there is no off nights when you're good. Like, when I was at my best. There wasn't no off day for me. Like I might not have performed at peak, like top of the line version of myself, but like there wasn't no nights where I'm just like, my shit is broke. That shit didn't exist with me. But it was just because I was always on mentally, like let's go. You know what I'm saying? Besides that one time against that one JUCO where they beat the fuck out of us. But then the second half, I was lighting their ass up because my coach yelled. My coach was pissed because I was not trying that game. I just was not in the mood. Like that's had never happened to me. I can't think of another time where I just like was not in the mood for the game that I was playing. Like I was just checked out. There's 0 points in the first half. My coach was like on my ass indirectly. He's like, if you don't want to fucking play, stay in the locker room. Like I knew he was talking about me. And so second half came out fresh off the half, bro. 14 straight. You know, turned it on, and then we outscored them in the second half versus a team that should have beat the dog shit out of us. But it's that mental switch, bro, of just being on. You gotta find that. That's what I'm gonna talk about at the end. Don't let me forget. If I say I'm about to close it down and I haven't gone off on a rant, don't let me forget. I got a gem for y'all. For y'all that stuck around, I got a real gem. And I'm gonna try to fly through these questions so I can get to that actually, because my time is up. It's been an hour to the T. What do college coaches look for when they're looking at a shooter they want to recruit? Just if you know how to play basketball, straight up. Like if you're smart player and you make smart decisions and you just understand how to play on both sides of the ball and you play to your strengths, like that's all you can ask for. Some coaches, like a lot of coaches, look for different things, but intensity and playing hard and being a good teammate is undefeated. And then just being a smart player. Like I don't know a single coach that would turn that down. It's just at what level do you do that? What do you think is more valuable trait, strength or explosiveness? Explosiveness. Not even close. It's not even close. Ja Morant is like 165 pounds, bro. Explosive as fuck. Like Allen Iverson, explosive as fuck. 170 pounds, bro. And it is really not close. Like you need a baseline level of strength, but if you're like a bodybuilder out there, you're useless. You know what I'm saying? Like you're straight up useless. Tips to get confidence to handle the ball more. It's the thing I always say, man. The thing I always say for those of you that are in here and you've never seen my content, please go watch it. Like go watch the other 10 lives that I've done on YouTube. Like confidence comes from doing the thing over and over. So if you're not confident handling the ball more, handle the ball more. In all situations, by yourself, against defense, in 5-on-5, 3-on-3, handle that shit. You want to get better with misdirection moves? The game is evolving too fast for you. I mean, it's not like the game evolving has nothing to do with you. So it's like whatever same thing I just said before. If you want to get good at something, you got to do it over and over and over until you get it right. And then you got to try it against people. Should you focus on one sport in high school or multiple? It depends. It depends, bro. If you want to be a pro, it depends on your level of focus. If you can focus well enough and you're good enough, like if you're not that good and you want to be insanely good at a sport and you're playing 3 sports, like, but you want to be a pro basketball player and you're not that good yet, you should probably quit those other 2 sports and focus on basketball because you got to catch up and develop. But like if you have a ton of natural skills and talent and athleticism and you're already really good, then it probably don't matter as much. But just the more time you spend on one thing, the better you'll get at it. So I would say in high school, I just picked one. In middle school, I did track, football, and basketball. And then when I got to high school my freshman year, I was like, I'm doing one sport. Picked basketball because it was my favorite. And all that other shit went to the wayside. But that was just my own personal decision. You know what I mean? And that's crazy. My mom never forced me to do shit. She didn't care if I quit, wanted to play, didn't want to play. She didn't give a fuck if I had a bad game. If I scored 35, if I scored 5, she didn't give a fuck. Like she cared, but at the same, like we just never had a conversation about any of that shit. I told her I don't want to do track. She's like, okay. I want to play basketball. Okay. Like I don't want to play football. Okay. She didn't care. I think that's the biggest blessing I had. My mom didn't force me to do jack shit. That's why I'm happy today. Fuck. I do what I want now. Like, shit. She didn't care that I had 40 jobs. She didn't give a fuck. She didn't care that I dropped out of college. But I think I always had subconsciously, I always had a plan. You know what I'm saying? I always felt like I was going somewhere no matter what I was doing. But let me answer these real quick and then I'll end with my gem. How do you improve confidence at school? It depends what you mean. Like just confidence in general, it just comes from like here's like the kind of formula to confidence. Like there's kind of some things you need to like get right. You know what I'm saying? One of those things is just pure acceptance of who you are and where you're at in the moment. I think a lot of people are unconfident, just in the fact that, oh, I'm not as good as I want to be, so it's hard for me to confident. I don't have the car that I want to have. I don't have the clothes and the shoes and the job and the all of these other things. And like for the people that create, I don't have the right equipment. I don't have a studio. I don't have the right camera, all these other things. And it makes them unconfident in their skills. And whatever that is with you, like if you're not good at speaking to people, if you're not good at just whatever, I think it's just accepting that and being okay with it and be like, yeah, I'm not that great at it right now. Like I'm really not, you know what I'm saying? And that's okay. That don't mean you can't get better, but don't be embarrassed about where you're at in the moment, because you're just at where you're at and it is what it is. And so the sooner you can accept, like, okay, I'm here, I'm coming off the bench on my freshman team, I'm playing on a low level AAU team, or I'm not good at talking to people and I don't know how to make friends. Like just accept that. Like just be in a place where like that is okay. Once you get to that, from there is where you start the process of building the confidence in those things. But if you can't even get to the point to face the truth about who you are and where you're at in the moment, then you have no fucking shot. And so like that's the thing that I'm trying to show people is like my first videos on this shit sucked. Some of my videos suck now. Like my equipment is janky. Like this fucking thing, like my tripod broke last week and I had to go buy some shit for $5 and it's like slapped to my table and this mic's janky and I'm just on my iPhone and it's just like my laptop's old. It is what it is. I'm going to make the content and do what I got to do until I get better equipment. It's like my team last year, we had a couple players that were inexperienced and we got smacked a couple games and our jerseys were janky and our jerseys came late. So I had to iron some shit on and like it was peeling and it looked bad. But I was like, all right, it is what it is. We about to go hoop. Like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? And now this year it's going to be different. It's going to get better. And it just, yeah, I coached shitty teams before. I coached low-level club teams where it's like we're getting smacked every tournament, and these players are genuinely not that good, or some of them just can't play basketball and can't catch and all these other things. And like, I got to go to the tournament and coach these kids. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm about to coach a Nike team. It's like, bro, that was 5 years ago, and now I'm in a place to where it's just like, it's better and it's gonna get better. But I accepted where I was. I was never embarrassed of the teams that I coached. I was never embarrassed to play reserve or JV. I was never embarrassed that I wasn't good. I was never embarrassed that I couldn't shoot. Like I was never embarrassed. And so you got to get to that point. That's the real confidence. Being good isn't the confidence. It's accepting that you're bad at certain things. That's the real confidence. And and look at other people and be like, who gives a fuck, bro? That like the thing I said last time, I probably said this last week, is like, none of that shit matters. The shit you're unconfident in, nobody thinks about the things you're not confident in. Like all of you that are in this live right now, I have no idea what your biggest insecurity is. I don't give a fuck what it is either. I don't. Most people don't care. You know why? I'm thinking about my own shit. I'm thinking about I got to figure out how to schedule my games and so I can coach two teams at the same time. I got to figure out how I'm going to pay and how we're going to structure our travel and who are we going to put on certain teams and who's going to head coach that one team and development team and what are we going to do this summer with the league that we started and what am I going to do about trying to get kids in the gym for training and open gym and try to get sponsors and all this other shit. So I don't give a fuck about your insecurities. I got too much shit to do. And so once you understand like nobody actually cares about your insecurities and they have their own and everybody's been where you're at, or there's people lower than you, there's people happier than you with less than you have, then, once you get to that level, you'll be confident, but you just have to practice that perspective every single day and actually be like, look in the fucking mirror or write down and be grateful and be like, damn, there's really somebody that slept at a bus stop last night. And so why am I unconfident? Because I live at home, or my apartment's janky, or my car breaks down sometimes when some mom just had to get groceries. If you ain't never got groceries on the bus and stuff them bitches in your backpack, then you don't really know. You know what I'm saying? I've done that. I've ridden the bus to Walmart to get groceries, stuffed that bitch in my backpack, zipped it up, and went back to my mom's house with it. And it takes forever. Like getting groceries on the bus takes forever, bro. It ain't just a hop in the. You got to go to the bus stop and wait, and then you got to get back on the bus stop, and you got a full ass backpack. And you got to try to fit it all in there, so you ain't carrying grocery bags on the bus while you make the next 6 stops. Did I ever lack confidence? Yeah, in certain things, definitely. Um, but not to a level to where it was crippling. I think I get over the confidence thing pretty fast. Like most of my life, I've actually had confidence, and so I can't ever say that I was one of those kids that was just like fully unconfident. Because probably 95% of my life I've lived in a confident state. Like the thing I always say, right? And this is like completely off topic. I'm gonna say this before I get into my rant. Um, but like the thing that people always talk about, like you have 3 problems. You have, damn, I wish I could remember. You have relationship problems, you have money problems, or you have health problems, or something like that. You have like 3 main problems in your life. And the thing I always say is like when it comes to the relationship shit, and then people are like, you gotta have $100,000 to get a girlfriend, and you gotta have your own blah blah blah, and this shit, bro. I used to live at my mom's house in the basement, drive her car, and I would go pick up girls in that shit. And I didn't have a sense of like non-confidence. I never even thought to not be confident. I was just like, all right, I'll tell a girl, be like, yo, I gotta drop my mom off at work so I can use her car, and then I can come swoop you up, and you can't come over because I stay at my mom's house. Can we go to your, like, bro, I didn't give a fuck. This is what it is. And so if you ain't never been to that place mentally and experience that for yourself, you won't understand why having the money don't matter. Like, there's billionaires that get divorced every day, bro. You Jeff Bezos and you're getting divorced. That tells you right there the money don't matter. So it's like, that's how I apply that shit to everything. It's like people think you need all this. Like the best artist that I follow on TikTok, one of the best, he literally draws with with one of these, bro. He draws with one of these, and it looks like the realest fucking picture I ever saw in my life. And it's like, people are like, well, I need an art studio, and I need this, and I need that. And it's like, bro, I can make a masterpiece on my fucking iPhone, and you're talking about buying a $2,000 camera. It just don't make no sense. And so it's not the things that you have, it's your perspective on what you have. And the biggest gem is like, nobody else cares if you don't care. People only care if you care. So if you're getting roasted at school, right? The thing that makes it worse is if you actually get offended and you actually are like trying to get defensive, and you're like, no, you're trying to like hide it and all this other shit. Like people will start roasting you more and more and more and more and more. But if like somebody roasts you and you laugh and be like, damn, yeah, that shit's funny, like they kind of just like, it's not as fun for them. And so you got to figure out how to like kind of laugh at yourself and just be like, it don't matter, bro. Yeah, at the end of the day, you're gonna be 90 years old at some point, and all this shit you was worrying about other people's thoughts and opinions and what you was unconfident in, that shit ain't gonna matter, bro. It ain't gonna fucking matter. Tryouts tomorrow. Do you got tips? If you got some for tips, it's too late, bro. Be yourself, and hopefully you in shape. Straight up, bro. Play to your strengths and fucking hustle, bro. Hustle, bro. I've been getting a lot of D3 spots in my home state. Do you think you should go to D3? It depends. Or prep school. Prep school is kind of a waste. D3, I heard you can only get academic scholarships. So I would say market yourself. If you can get a D3, I think you can get a D3, D2. You just gotta market yourself. Yeah, like that's really the difference. Like there's a lot of players that get D2s, but they could have got a D1 if they just knew how to market themselves. So I got a video actually on how to get recruited. Just go to my YouTube, you can find it. Cooper Flags on the thumbnail. Watch that video, bro. If you do every single thing that I say in that video, you can go from D2, or you can go from D3 to D2. Promise you. My knees hurt when jumping and bending, standing outside. Look up ATG and do their workouts. That's the best advice I got for you. ATG, Athletic Truth Group. Look them up and do their workouts. That's the best advice I got for you when it comes to your knees and shit like that. You think playing AAU can get you offers D1? Is that a rhetorical question? Is that a real question? Yes, bro. Is that a real question? My thoughts on the All-Star game? A waste. I watched like 5 seconds. I already knew what they was on. All right, so the last thing I wanted to throw in, right? This is my last spiel that I was gonna give y'all. The most underrated thing when it comes to how to get your skills to actually translate, like when you're working out, what do you do? Like, how do I get this shit to work? Like, I work on this thing all the time, but it's not working. I think the main thing is you gotta like invest emotionally. And what I mean is like, sometimes when you're on the court and you get mad or you just have like certain emotions, like you feel overly intense or just like whatever it is, you have to figure out a way to invest that energy into your workout and like work out with actual passion, bro, like emotion, intensity, all of these things. I think you really gotta do that. Like you gotta figure out a way to like be in the moment and lock in and bring the energy the same way you might in a game, the same way it's like if you're getting like frustrated, it's like a frustrated energy. It's almost like an anger, but it's not. I wish I had a better way to describe it, but it's just like a certain focused, like emotional energy that you play with. You got to figure out how to work out with that same energy. And the thing I always say is like sometimes you can draw from real experiences. A lot of people think that it's not good to be angry or to have a chip on your shoulder and all these other things, but it's like somebody said the funniest quote. They're like, if Michael Jordan got therapy, he would average 5 points a game. If you're angry or if you're frustrated or you have a certain passion or aggressiveness or whatever it is, like do the reps with that energy, like straight up, like that force that you use when you're playing somebody one-on-one. Like if you ain't never played a one-on-one, to where it's like when you ever been mad at somebody, like your friend, and y'all playing one-on-one and it's like super intense. Like you ever seen people do that on TikTok? Like they have those videos and it's like them dudes are mad at each other and they're playing like a real aggressive fucking one-on-one. That's the energy that you need when it comes to working out. Like you got to figure out how to conjure that up and find that and use that chip on your shoulder if you got one, or use that one time somebody said you were trash, or that one time you're pissed about losing the game, you missed the game winner, or that time where you didn't get in because your coach didn't want to play you. Like all that energy you have towards those things, like bring that together and focus that. It's like when you put the sun in a magnifying glass and it starts burning because it focuses the energy. Use that in your workouts and just watch what happens, bro. I use that every single time that I work out. It's like, especially when I was young, I just brought that energy and just that intensity and that passion into my reps, and it was like I'm on 100, bro. I'm about to do this shit, and I don't give a fuck if it's catch and shoot. Like I'm on 10, like you know what I'm saying. And I don't think enough people do that, and I think that's why a lot of people don't go as far as they want to go, and they don't see the game results and all these other things. It's because they don't bring that actual passion and energy to their workouts, like that frustration that you have, or with just anything, bro. Like use anything, because it's better than just having that emotion sit there and you keep it in the back of your mind, and you sit with the resentment or anger and all this other shit. Like use that on the court, bro. Use that in your workouts and just be in the moment. And you can't think about all these what ifs. You can't think about the future or be anxious about all these other things. Like you got to figure out how to ignore that shit and be in the moment and just go through your workout and use that energy and just be like, I'm here now, and like I just have this vibe and this fire or whatever it is, and just fucking put that shit into the reps, bro. I really think that's like the secret. I really do. And it's like some people get this look, like that Michael Jordan look. You ever seen that look, or that Kobe look? When they show his face and he's focused and he's intense, like I can 100% guarantee you, like them type of dudes that have that fucking focused face, that energy face, like, you know what I'm saying? Like when you see it in the playoffs, or you see it when like Steph's going off and they zoom into his face and he's fucking locked in, like they use that energy in their workouts. They are the exact same way that you see them on camera when they're in the gym by themselves. They are the exact same way. They have that exact same energy. They have that exact same passion and force and all these other things. And that's the thing that most people are just straight up missing. Like, and I watch people work out all the time, and I can just tell, like, man, you ain't bringing up real energy. Like, you're not invested into that shit. And the students that have worked out with me side by side, like, I bring it so they know what it looks like and what it should feel like, and the speed and the precision and the exactness and the focus and the intensity and all these other things that you got to bring just for one day's workout. Like, can you do that shit for 700 days? That's the thing. That's the thing. And most people can't. And that's why most people are average and most people never succeed, because they can't bring that fucking energy every day. They have an off switch where they're chilling, or they're just, I'm just going to go to the gym and shoot around, or I'm going to do this rep at 80% speed or 80% intensity, 80% focus. I don't give a fuck. And like, for me, bro, it's always the moment. It's always, I might get cut tomorrow. It's always do or die. And if you can figure that out, then, you know, you'll probably reach a different level just within yourself that you didn't think was possible. I really believe that. So, and yeah, Kobe is better than MJ.